You know, sometimes it still seems hard to believe I built this thing.
A lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago.
Well, don't let the sun fool you. It's still freezing out here, but it's one day I have off, so we're gonna take the Humvee to the drive shaft shop, see if we can get a front drive shaft measured up, get them start working on making one for me. Well, looks like I'm ordering some silicone heater hose tubing. That's not oil, it's just antifreeze coolant stuff. I've had a slow leak where I'd get maybe like just a drop or two from a couple locations over like a week. And then I came out today, it was like that. So definitely time to order some lower radiator tubing that's actually silicone or something that can seal up a little bit better than this other tubing. Well, I almost forgot to tell y'all what the drive shaft shop had said about the front drive shaft. Now, they kept trying to give me maybe some different ways of doing it, and I don't think we have the space to do what they were looking at doing on here. I'm gonna double check it to make sure, but it seems like what I'm gonna end up having to do is do a front slip yoke eliminator on our transfer case, which means I have to take everything back apart under there. Not everything, but basically what our issue is that carrier bearing has a slip yoke on the transfer case side, and then our transfer case has a slip yoke, and you really don't want two slip yokes in the same line, basically. If the slip yoke was on the other side of that carrier bearing, it'd be okay, but it's not, and I'm not sure we can do that. Well, from what the drive shaft shop said, they couldn't do that. So I'm gonna look into that more, figure that out. If we need to drop that out, I'll do a video on installing that slip yoke eliminator on that MP1226 transfer case, but we'll see. All right, since we were having a little issues with our mirrors and the doors and getting the correct angle, I went ahead and got these little plates. These are from Federal Military something. Hold on, I'll be right back. All right, so yes, I did have that right. Federal Military Parts make this little adapter. It's basically milled out, so it'll go around our little hinge part there. Fits in there, comes with longer bolts, and then it has these three little screw holes for our new mirrors. I'm gonna go grab those, put them on, and then I'll show, I guess, how to adjust it on the little screws and everything. Everything seems to be fitting up all right on these. The only thing I noticed I needed to do was drill out a little hole there for that guy in the back. It was just kind of pushing too much. This is a little, like, I guess, isolator mounting plate so things don't rattle. So I just needed to open that up just a little bit to go around that bolt, and then everything seems to be fitting fine after that. All right, to adjust these, this does have kind of a little cam washer or something in it, so this will actually pull back or go forward or whatever. If you do end up hitting something, there's a cam in there to let this move. So if it's too tough or too loose, you can tighten a little bolt that is underneath here, and then if your top swivel is too tight or too loose, you have three screws that are underneath here. Of course, loosen to loosen, tighten to tighten, and y'all get it. But there we go, quick install on those. Now the only issue is that if I decide to take the doors off, those are coming off also. So I will keep my old mirrors as backups just in case I decide to run without the doors off. I can still put those on so I can have side mirrors. Well, they seem like they'll do well and not move around too much, but I still need to test them out on the highway, make sure nothing moves. If they end up moving on me, I'll just have to go in and tighten everything back down a little bit more. So the reason why this was the only thing we got done today, though, was because I went and looked at another project this morning. And me not showing you the project, well, is basically because I didn't get it. Whenever I got there, it was more of a basket case than I really wanted to handle. It sounded a lot better whenever they were actually describing everything, saying how it ran fine, everything. Got there and it looks like it hasn't moved in, I don't know, years. There was cracks in the tires and everything. So I'm not real sure how they know everything works great on it when it hasn't been driven. Anyway, that was just kind of a waste of part of a day, but a nice little road trip anyway. Now back to the Humvee, and maybe we can find a better project later. Well, this is going to be my plan. On the back portion, we got some of those and some of these a little bit thinner ones here. We're going to make well, this is the front, but we're going to make the back portion to where we can clamp on the back part. So I can build a back portion and have those clamp over this. That way I can make a slant back style, I can make a wagon style, I can make one to carry a bunch of junk or whatever I want to do, and I just lift it in place and bolt it in the back and clamp that on the roll cage area up here. As you can see, they are very thick and sturdy. I don't have any worries about this holding up for what I want to do. So I'm thinking about using the smaller ones in order to build a spare tire rack, basically, that comes off the cage. I can remove it also whenever I want. So that's my plans on there, which will come later if I can get some help to lift this back on there and we can get this put in place. I can start working on the back part. And that's how they fit on here. Let's run the tubing nice and tight and doesn't move anymore. Here, we'll even hit it on the vise over here and see if we can get this to move any. It's not going anywhere. I did go ahead and get a couple of these clamps welded on to some pipe there. That is going to be for our back piece, our wagon style back. So that's the one we're going to build first, and then we'll build the slant back later on. But I just went ahead and pre-tacked these in place. That way I can attach them to the roof rack whenever I put it up on there to go ahead and mark our holes. So the timing on that will be lift that in place, mark the holes, attach these, probably run a pipe or something across the top in order to keep those straight. Put those up on there, mark the height, so we'll basically measure at the bottom of that pipe, which will be the bottom of this pipe. Once we have that, we can cut our height here, and then we can put it back up there, cut our center so we can move those two ends in a little bit closer to where they fit on the back of the Humvee just right. Weld that up, and then we can put these back up on there and basically measure where we need to notch those, weld that, weld those to the plates, finish weld all that, and sand it and paint it. And then we'll have a wagon back style. And that's actually quite a bit to do. Now that I actually say it out loud, that may take a while. But since we can't work on a major project on the Humvee, went ahead and kind of cleaned up our tires. I think I'm gonna get like a little toothbrush thing in order to try to get some of these little bugs and stuff off the front that I've been getting from driving just a little bit. With this type of paint, I've basically just seen them use a brush. You just kind of brush it as you wash it and all the stuff comes out. But I think I'll start with just a little toothbrush and stuff and get some of these little spots off here. See how that does before I really take it and wash it. And also, since my daily has been kind of neglected for a while, I'm going to take it, go get it washed also. At least with this one, I can just kind of take it to one of those automated washers. I'm not too worried about the paint because, well, you can see the hail damage. But it's a commuter and it gets good gas mileage, so I'm keeping it. Yep, hail dents pretty much all over the place. And that's how she got her name, Dimples. Well, not bad with just water getting the bugs off there. I will need to get a little bit of soap and stuff to get some of these spots off that were a little bit more tough. Wheels and tires looking good. Well, you can tell I still don't have the roof rack on there yet to drill the holes, but we did get in our lower radiator tubing, well, what I'm going to replace what we have for connections. Now, I don't need that long of a strip, but this I can cut to what I need for whatever piece under there. And then I got a couple of 45 degrees just in case I do need kind of an angled piece there. And then to clamp it off, I ended up getting this style clamp instead of just a worm gear clamp, because I feel like these are able to actually provide a little bit more clamping force to help seal up that lower radiator tubing. I think the silicone hose alone here will seal it up really well, but just to use something like this to make it even better, why not? All right, I went ahead and marked our drill points for our mounts. Now, while it's up here, I went ahead and put our clamped straight pieces on the back here so that we can measure from the bottom of those to the bed back here. That'll get us our height that we need to cut that D-pillar piece. Now I put a straight piece of pipe all the way across up top just to make sure that that is in the same, basically straight with the other piece. Once that was it, measured that, it's 25 3/4 is what I got anyway. And then in the shop here, I laid out our D-pillar piece, put a straight piece on the back so we make sure that that top is straight. And then I put a string across, kept measuring from the top there down until I got to 25 3/4. Now our mount will probably take up 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch or something on the bed. And then by the time I cut this where these are at, everything should be basically right at that mark. Once those are cut, we'll put it up on the back of the bed. That'll tell us how much of the center we need to trim out in order to bring those ends inward more to where it fits the bed just perfectly. And then we weld that up. And then we weld those straight pieces onto here. So similar to the same little stuff we did on the roof rack part, we're gonna do for this back part. Went ahead and put our straight pieces back on there with the clamps. I did notch this in, so now I need to basically raise those up, set that in place, make sure everything's square, and then tack those in place while it's on the Humvee, and then take everything off and weld it. Well, we got it backed in here, so I can go ahead and tack up that back piece there. Have it just laid up there right now. I have a couple of magnets at the top holding it in place though. I also made a couple of these. These are 45 degree notches, and they're gonna go whoop, like that up in those corners. Well, there we have the back all tacked up in place. Need to mark our holes to drill on this as well before we take it off, but we still need to take it off and fully weld it. But I'm just going to give y'all a quick look at it as it sits now. Now I do plan on putting stuff between those two tubes, so another bracket or something in order to hold a few things, maybe some jerry cans or something up there. So that will be filled in some more, won't be quite as open there. And I might possibly come down with another brace bar off of that and come down on to the inside here. But I don't have any holes to mount to there, so I'd end up having to drill some holes for that piece if I did do that. Also, you can see it is offset inward, so we'd actually have to kind of slant that bar forward a little bit. But there we have everything kind of roughed in place. I may put some more bars up over here to bridge this gap, have a bar that basically bends out, goes around the top, bends back around to that front. We'll have to see if I can actually do that or not. Now I may need to take this off, fully weld everything up, and I'll figure out what's next after that. Well, it got dark and got cold, so gotta tuck the Humvee in for the night. Well, as we let it warm up, I'm gonna go ahead and close out the video. We're getting close to finishing up the rack, and I'm ready to start on something else on this or another project. Leave me a comment in the description if y'all wanna see some other type of project. Jeep Cherokee, Jeep Wrangler, something, off-road or drift car, race car, something like that. Let me know what y'all would like to see. That doesn't mean we're gonna take our attention away from continuing the build on this. I hope y'all enjoy these videos. It takes a lot of time for me to get these things out. Now, it's things that I would do anyway, like the roof rack I would have built anyway, the swap on the Humvee I would have done anyway. But what it is sharing the experience with y'all. I actually have kind of grown to enjoy this YouTube thing a little bit, so I'd like to continue it on to whatever projects I do. But in order to do that, I have to have that viewership up and everything, so please share this with somebody you think might like it. We'll see what we can get to. I'd definitely like to get to the stage where this channel takes off and I can actually start doing things with other channels, challenging them to things, whatever it is. But if we can't get this channel off the ground, it's kind of a moot point there. And I appreciate all of y'all watching these videos, and I'll see y'all next time.